the two forms of contemporary worship of bodies. The leftist one, which is the search for a pure, unconnected body of pleasure. And the rightist one, which is the prostitutional proposition of sale and purchase of all bodies. Certainly, the common point of the rightist nihilism and of the leftist nihilism is probably democracy, the democratic emblem, the worship of individual freedom, freedom of new experiences of the body, freedom of the expression of the self, and so on. So our starting point is certainly contest the democratic fetish. And in fact, it is an idea which, for example, is common in very different forms to Giorgio Agamben, Slavoj Žižek, and me. And why? Because the philosophical critique of the democratic fetish is the first decisive task and the first subjective liberation against contemporary nihilism. How does the democratic emblem or democratic fetish function today? It proposes a possible peace. The planetary extension of the democratic regime would represent a definitively pacified and so happy world. This means that only the non-democratic exceptions are blocking the advent of this pacified world. In short, there are the wicked, the non-democrats, terrorists, Islamists, and so on. If we are to have democratic peace, we must evade the wars against them. The democratic fetish is that of a world which has already found its principle. Only terrorists, Islamists, dictators, and so on are preventing the world from organizing as a whole with respect to this principle, whose name is democracy. And what is supposed in all this is that there is a world whose principle and whose immanent perfectibility is known. This perfecting requires going through a war which is bothersome but inevitable. My proper thesis takes its empirical starting point in the consideration of endless wars and innumerable acts of violence, the name of which is Western world and democracy. And my conclusion is we are in a very special moment. A very special moment, a moment at which there is not any world. That is the principle. Today there is not any world. It is just when we speak all the day of globalization, unification of the world, planetary village, and so on, that in fact there is no world at all. What is the signification of this thesis? There is no world. For nihilists, the non-existence of the world can mean two things, two different things. First, there is a world, but this world is meaningless, completely meaningless. So we can speak then of existential nihilism. No meaning at all. And second signification, there is not any world, which means that this nihilism is ontological and not existential. There is an inconsistent multiplicity, there is incohesion of what there is. And for me, I am not in a nihilistic way. So what is the signification of a temporary inexistence of the world, if it is neither existential nor ontological? It is neither in nihilistic framework. I can explain to you this point across a new discussion with Jean-Luc Nancy. In a collection of essays, Une pensée finie, a finite thought, Jean-Luc Nancy includes a long note on the world. And he has since consecrated to the question an entire book. For him, a world is the extension of existence to something other than humanity. It's the fundamental definition. There is a world when there is extension of existence to something which is bigger than humanity. Stones, stars, animals, and so on. Finally, a world is a response to the question, why is there all there is and nothing but what there is? Why is there all that there is and nothing but what there is? I am once again fraternally in disagreement with Jean-Luc Nancy about the question of the world. And in fact, I wrote a book, the title of which is Infinite Thought. So we have a strict parallelism between finite thought and infinite thought. I think that there is not all there is. There is not all there is because all is an inconsistent determination with respect to the infinite multiplicity of what exists. So it cannot be all there is. And there is not at all possibility to speak of nothing but what there is. So there is no what there is, and there is no nothing but what there is. Because very often something happens which is something else than what there is. So the two fundamental propositions of Jean-Luc Nancy are, in my conviction, not really true. I think that for Nancy, and for many others, since Leibniz,